Good morning, guys. Yesterday, when I read, I asked you to think about what I was reading and make a prediction over on Seesaw. So today, we're just going to find out if our predictions were right. If you remember, Ivan is telling his story to Ruby about when he was in the jungle and before he came to be at the Big Top Mall. So let's see if our predictions were right. So I'm going to read that last chapter again. It's super short, the end. Remember, it said, "One day, a still day, when the hot air hummed, the humans came." Next chapter is called Vine. "After they captured my sister and me, they put us in a cramped, dark crate. It smelled like fear. Somehow, I knew that in order to live, I had to let my old life die. But my sister could not let go of her home. It held her like a vine stretching across the miles, comforting, strangling. We were still in our crate when she looked at me without seeing, and I knew the vine had finally snapped." We need to talk about that. So Ivan is saying that even though Not Tag was with her, right? That's the sister's name. Even though his sister was with her, with Ivan, she wasn't really herself. The feeling that she had, the need that she had to be in her home, it just kept her, and she couldn't let go of that. So she wasn't really with Ivan. The temporary human. It was Mac who pried open the crate. Mac who bought me, and Mac who raised me like a human baby. I wore diapers, I drank from a bottle, I slept in human beds, sat in human chairs, listened while human words swarmed around me like angry bees. Mac had a wife back then. Helen was quick to laugh, but quick to get angry too, especially when I broke something, which was often. Here's what I broke while I lived with Mac and Helen. Look at this. It's like a list. Where can I show you that? There's a list that starts over on this page and it goes up there. Let me read it to you. 1 crib, 46 glasses, 7 lamps, 1 couch. Oh goodness, my phone is talking to me and I don't know why. Let me start that again. Here's what I broke while I lived with Mac and Helen. 1 crib, 46 glasses, 7 lamps, 1 couch, 3 shower curtains, 3 shower curtain rods, 1 blender, 1 TV, 1 radio, and 3 toes. My own. I broke the blender when I squeezed 3 tubes of toothpaste and a bottle of glue into it. I broke my toes attempting to swing from a lamp fixture on the ceiling. I broke 46 glasses. Well, turns out there's many ways to break a glass. Every weekend, Mac and Helen took me in their convertible to a fast food restaurant where they ordered me French fries and a strawberry shake. Mac loved to see the expression on the cashier's face when he drove up and said, "Can I have some extra ketchup for my kid?" I went to baseball games, to the grocery store, to the movie theater, even to the circus. They didn't have a gorilla. I rode a little motorbike and blew out candles on my birthday cake. My life as a human was a glamorous one, although my parents, traditional sorts, would not have approved. This is a funny picture. There's Ivan, and he's wearing his diaper when he was a baby. Oh my. Hunger. In my new life as a human, I was well tended. I ate lettuce leaves with Thousand Island dressing and caramel apples and popcorn with butter. My belly ballooned. It got very big. But hunger, like food, comes in many shapes and colors. At night, lying alone in my Pooh Bear pajamas, I felt hungry for the skilled touch of a grooming friend, for the cheerful grunts of a play fight, for the easy safety of my nearby troop, foraging through the shadows. So he's missing his gorilla family. Remember what happened to Tag, I told myself. Don't think about the jungle. Okay, so Tag, his sister, she kind of, Ivan's trying to not think about the jungle so that he doesn't feel so lost like Tag did and like have that vacant, no longer with us look. Still, sometimes I lay awake, wishing for the warmth of another just like me, asleep in a night nest of tender prayer plant leaves. I liked having sips of soda poured into my mouth like bubbling waterfall, but every now and then I longed to search for the tender stalk of an arrowroot, to feel the tease of a mango just out of reach. Still life. One day, Helen came home with something large and flat wrapped in brown paper. "Look what I bought today," she said excitedly as she tore off the paper, "a painting to go over the living room couch." "Fruit in a bowl," Max said with a shrug. "Big deal." "This is fine art. It's called a still life," Helen explained, "and I think it's lovely." I dashed over to examine the painting, marveling at the colors and shapes. "See," said Mac's wife, "Ivan likes it." "Ivan likes to roll up poop and throw it at squirrels," Max said. I couldn't take my eyes off the apples and the bananas and the grapes in the picture. They all looked so real, so inviting, so edible. Uh-oh. I reached out to touch the grape. Helen slapped my hand. "Bad boy, Ivan, don't touch." She jerked her thumb at Mac. "Honey, go get a hammer and a nail, would ya?" While Mac and Helen were busy in the living room, I wandered into the kitchen. A cake covered in thick chocolate frosting sat on the counter. I like cake. Love it, in fact. But it wasn't eating I was thinking about. It was painting. The frosting peaked and dipped like waves on a tiny pond. It looked rich and gooey, dark and smooth. It looked like mud. Now remember, when Ivan was back with his mom and Tag and his troop in the forest, he used to take mud and paint on his mom's back. Do you remember that? I scooped up a handful of frosting, and I scooped up another. I headed to the refrigerator door. It was perfect, an empty, white, waiting canvas. The frosting wasn't as easy to work with as jungle mud. It was stickier and, of course, more tempting to eat. But I kept at it. I scraped off every last bit of frosting. I may have eaten a little cake, too. I don't remember what I was trying to paint. A banana, most likely. I suppose I knew I was going to get in trouble, but at that moment, I didn't care. I wanted to make something, anything, the way I used to. I wanted to be an artist again. Punishment. I soon learned that humans can screech even louder than monkeys. After that, I was never allowed in the kitchen. Babies. Back in those days, the Big Top Mall was smaller. It had a pony ride, a wooden train that bustled around the parking lot, a few bedraggled parrots, and a surly spider monkey. Bedraggled means kind of what you look like when you get out of bed and you haven't brushed your hair and taken care of your face yet, and you're all crumpled up and kind of look like bedhead. Surly, a surly spider monkey. Grumpy, angry spider monkey. But when Mac brought me a baby gorilla dressed in a crisp tuxedo to the mall, everything changed. People came from far and wide to have their pictures taken with me. They brought me blocks and a toy guitar and held me in their laps. Once, I even held a baby in mine. She was small and slippery. Bubbles flowed from her lips. She squeezed my fingers. Her rear was puffy with padding. Her legs bowed like bent twigs. I made a face. She made a face. I grunted. She grunted. I was so afraid that she would fall. I squeezed her tightly, and her mother yanked her away. I wonder if my mother ever worried about dropping us. We always held on, but that's easier to do when your mother is furry. Human babies are an ugly lot, but their eyes are a lot like our babies' eyes. Too big for their faces and for the world. Beds. One day, after many weeks of loud talking, Helen packed a bag and slammed the front door and never came back. I don't know why. I never know the why of humans. That night, I slept in bed with Mac. My old nests were woven of leaves and sticks and shaped like his bathtub. Cool green cocoons. Mac's bed, like mine, was flat, hot, without sticks, and no stars. Still, he made a sleeping sound like a rumble my father used to make when all was well, the sound from deep inside his stomach. My place. Mac grew sullen, sad and angry, sullen. I grew bigger. I became what I was meant to be, too large for chairs, too strong for hugs, too big for human life. I tried to stay calm, to move with dignity. I did my best to eat daintily. But human ways are hard to learn, especially when you're not a human. When I saw my new domain, I was thrilled. Who wouldn't have been? It had no furniture to break, no glasses to smash, no toilets to drop Mac's keys into. It even had a tire swing. I was relieved to have my own place. Somehow, I didn't realize I'd be here quite so long. Now, I drink Pepsi, eat old apples, watch reruns on TV. But many days I forget what I am supposed to be. Am I human? Am I a gorilla? Humans have so many words, more than they truly need. Still, they have no name for what I am. Okay, 9,876 days. Ruby is finally asleep. I watched her chest fall. Bob, too, is snoring, but my mind is still racing. Okay, we got to go back. Ruby is finally asleep. So remember, all of that was Ivan telling a little bit of a story. Did anyone make a prediction that said that he was going to talk about his life with Mac? I think a lot of you made the prediction about what was going to happen in the jungle, but not many of us thought, I wonder what happened when he first came to be with Mac and to be a part of the Big Top Mom. Let's read this chapter and then we'll stop for the day. Ruby is finally asleep. I watch her chest rise and fall. Bob, too, is snoring. But my mind is still racing. For perhaps the first time ever, I've been remembering. It's an odd story to remember, I have to admit. My story has a strange shape. A stunted beginning, an endless middle. I count all the days I've lived with humans. Gorillas count as well as anyone, although it's not a particularly useful skill to have in the wild. I've forgotten so many things, and yet I always know precisely how many days I've been in my domain. I take one of the magic markers Julia gave me. I make an X, a small one, on my painted jungle wall. I make more X's and more. I make an X for every day of life with my humans. My marks look like this. The next night, I mark the days when I am done my wall. So my marks look like this. My wall looks like this. That's a lot of X's. And so on until there are 9,876 X's marching across my wall like a parade of ugly insects. A visit. It's almost morning when I hear steps. It's Mac. He has a sharp smell. He weaves as he walks. He stands next to my domain. His eyes are red. He is staring out the window at his empty parking lot. Ivan, my man, he mumbles. Ivan. He presses his forehead against the glass. We've been through a lot, you and me. And that's where I'm going to stop. Here's what I want you to do. Actually, I'm going to make another video because this one's pretty long. I'll see you in a minute.